Oh. Good evening and welcome to the launch of The Last Resort by Susi Holliday. I'm Craig Robertson. I'm going to be one of your two hosts for tonight. I'll quickly introduce you to the other host, Mr. Luca Besti. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. I will now. You think?
What day is it?
It's still Tuesday. I'm pretty sure it's still
okay.
Tuesday. Still Tuesday. And with us is the star of the evening. Give a big hand at home to the lovely Susi Holliday. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Congratulations on the book coming out.
Thanks.
Book number 6?
7.
7. You know what? I knew I was going to miss one. Which one have I missed? No, hang on. Because, okay. Willow Walk, Damselfly, Deaths of December, Lingering Violet, now The Last Resort. What have I missed?
You missed the one that you actually hosted, which was Blackwood.
Ah, damn it. Oh, God, no, you know what? I've got a big space at the top between Blackwood and there we go. They're all in there. That's a cracking picture. So, book number 7, is it still exciting, scary, and all those things? Book coming out?
Always. I think it's never going to not be scary because I think every single time I write a book, I forget how to do it. And so then when it comes out, it's always a nice surprise that it's made it that far.
I think it's always something when first or second time authors say to us things like, it gets easier, doesn't it? But
no.
It just doesn't. No, it's the same shit every time. It's hard.
I actually think it gets worse. I think it gets worse because I think you start thinking about your process and how what to do, and then so you think it should be easier, and then it isn't. So then you get more annoyed with yourself. So then it gets harder.
Yeah, look at same for you. It doesn't get easier, does it?
No, and I thought it would. And I remember speaking to someone who'd been in the business for a very long time and saying like, well, surely after like 25 years it gets easier, and they go, no. It's the same every time. You feel like
I think it might get different, but it certainly doesn't get easier.
Nah, I think it's one of those where it's like if it gets easier, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's difficult concentrates the mind.
Exactly.
And Susi, we know, and we'll come to it once we're talking about it. Writing this has not been easy. You've had to do a lot of work and a lot of research. We'll get to that, but first of all, give you an idea of what's going to happen tonight. In a moment, Luca is going to speak to Susi about the book because Luca's actually read the book. And as well as that this evening, that is the book. You may say that book more than once tonight. We are going to have special guests. We are going to have giveaways, tons of giveaways. Susi, how much in the way of giveaways?
There's 50 giveaways.
That's 50 giveaways. We're also going to have a quiz, which Susi and Luca and the special guests and everyone watching at home can do. At some point, if you could grab a pen or pencil and a piece of paper, everybody can play along at home. I think the thing now to do is to talk about the book because that is what we're here for. So, Luca, take it away.
Yeah, so The Last Resort, first book with a new publisher, and it's book 7, wasn't it? It was 7, wasn't it? Exciting.
Yeah, it was 7.
7.
Definitely 7. Now, before I ask about the book, you should tell people what the book is about.
It's about 7 people who get invited to a private island, which is supposed to be to test a luxury island adventure retreat type thing. And so they're all kind of quite narcissistic people. So they all think this is great and they've been invited there for good reasons. And obviously it's a crime novel. So they get there and everything goes horribly wrong. But there's a bit of a difference. So that just sounds like lots of crime novels set on islands. It sounds like Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, for example. But the difference is when they go, they find out that they are actually there to test a technological device, which is a little tracker that gets put behind their ear and penetrates their skull and reads their memories.
Yes, and we find that out quite quickly is that the group of people that have been brought together all kind of have very different things that they kind of want to hide. And one of the first things that is kind of revealed is their innermost secrets. I mean, going to that cast of characters.
Yeah.
When my drink's arriving.
Hi, Sean.
like that BBC news thing where the kids come in. I'm on coke. Yeah, so to cast the characters, it's a really broad range of characters, and you kind of, you know, you kind of brought together these people who you can imagine would go in for something like this, because it is kind of like, you know, it's a very strange way of kind of experiencing this. So let's talk about the characters first off, and like, you know, your main kind of character is Amelia. I mean, but there is this whole, you know, broad church of characters. How do they come together for you? Did you kind of like, you know, have like a stock, right? I've got to cut this many characters. These are, you know, who is this? Who are these going to be? How did you go about doing that?
Well, the 7 came from, originally I was going to link it to the 7 deadly sins somehow, and that's why I wanted 7. But then I changed my mind about that because there was another book that came out not that long ago that had a similar kind of thing. So I thought I'll ditch that. But the main reason for the characters starting off was, do you remember the Fire Festival that didn't happen a couple of years ago? That was really the influence for the book. And the thing about that was there was a lot of influencers involved. So there's people on Instagram who were sharing it and getting people to go along, and they were spending something like 12 grand per ticket to go to this festival, and which was in the Bahamas, and it was supposed to be total luxury and all that kind of stuff. So you see where I got the idea from. And then they got there and it was a complete mess. They were in tents that was like a refugee camp. There was no food, there was no toilets. It was a total disaster. And there was a documentary about it, and it was brilliant. And it was like watching all these people in this complete state was such compelling stuff. So I thought, right, well, what about if I just make a bunch of kind of unpleasant people in that situation? That's kind of where I thought of that. So I started off with the influencer, the character Tiggy, who's a kind of made in Chelsea type annoying girl. And then her boyfriend, who's a games designer. So I just thought they kind of fitted in quite well together. And he's supposed to be an Essex boy. So it was kind of an Essex-Chelsea mix there. I started off with them, and then I just started putting different people in that I thought would fit together and also not fit together, because the whole point is you want them all to just immediately start fighting. That's pretty much what happened.
And there's a kind of like that, what's that bloody book called? The one with the boys on the island.
Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies. There's a Lord of the Flies element to all of these types of things. You put a group of characters who all come from very different kind of experiences, and they are always going to clash. So there's a number of influences, but I've seen the book described as Agatha Christie meets Black Mirror. So first, let's talk about the Agatha Christie element to it. I mean, how much of an influence was, and then there were none on the book?
Well, I was discussing this with Sophie, my publicist, to work out kind of angles for ways to pitch it. And she was talking about Agatha Christie, and she was saying, you know, you're obviously a big Agatha Christie fan. You can write lots of things about that. And the thing is, I've never read any Agatha Christie. So she went, oh, okay, that's an angle. So actually, I've watched the only Agatha Christie, and obviously you kind of absorb it when you're younger, like Poirot and Miss Marple and that kind of thing. But it was the modern adaptations that I really liked, like the BBC one of And Then There Were None, which was out a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago or something. That was kind of the first one I watched, and I was really taken by that, and I just loved the way it was done, and I loved the story, obviously. But I think that it was the modern version of it that I liked, and then the other ones that have been done since then that I really liked. So I kind of wanted to build that into it. So that's my Christie knowledge. It's like those 4 or 5 BBC.
Is there not some trepidation jumping into Christie ground in that sense? Does that not come with some kind of fear when you set about writing it?
Of course, because everyone's comparing me to something that I haven't actually read. And then I have tried many times. I think it's one of those things as well. I think if you read them when you're younger, it's different. Like they're of a time, and the writing's different. And if you get used to reading very modern stuff, it's quite hard to read stuff that isn't that. So I just cannot get into it. Like everyone I pick up, the first page just seems to be full of rambles and exclamation marks. I'm like, I can't read this. And I'm sure it gets better, but I mean, the stories are brilliant, because I think everyone knows the stories. It's like one of those kind of things that you just know about. You don't need to really have even read them. It's just such a big thing and such a big influence on all crime fiction and lots of events. So it's not like I don't know them. It's just that I haven't actually sat down and read them. And I'm sure there's loads of people very unhappy with me in the comments, but you know.
They're still talking about Jamie and the sheep suit, to be honest. I mean, but it is true. I mean, like, you know, you look at like how long someone like a Poirot has been around, because I remember having to sit through that on a Sunday night with my grandparents, you know, and that being like the Sunday night viewing. And you know, that was like kind of like you look at the basis of that kind of character, and then you see where, well, Morse is on after it, and you think, well, that's where you can see where the kind of the link is. So you can see Agatha Christie's influences across the genre without actually having to read her, because she does kind of come through in a lot of other books. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think I've read one Agatha Christie novel when I was a lot younger, and yeah, I think it's more the fact that these new adaptations are bringing a new audience to it. And as you say, the stories are what are more important. And I think you're completely right about that. But I mean, the Black Mirror with Agatha Christie, I mean, I don't know who else would have thought of doing that. So, I mean, was that just a case of like wanting to take one of those kind of old, kind of familiar ideas of a story and then kind of bringing it into like, you know, more modern life? Was that what that came from?
Well, yeah, because it's really difficult to come up with a new idea now. As you know, there's so many. As soon as you think of an idea, that book comes out next week. You know, it's like it's impossible. So I think you have to play around with stuff, and there's lots of people doing that. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And mashing stuff together is fun as well. And I've done that before with books. I've done that with a book with a bit of supernatural that I squeezed in. And I think when you do it, when you mess around with stuff, you're always going to get people that are not 100% happy about you doing that, but it's fun. And the idea for the memory tracking thing came from when I was traveling somewhere, I don't know where, but it was an in-flight magazine. And there was an article in there from a Swedish biotech guy. Actually, he was a tattoo artist, and then he started getting into other stuff. Anyway, he makes these little chip trackers that go like into your thumb, so that you can put all your stuff on there. Like the stuff that's on your smartphone can go in there. So then when you go in, you don't have to have anything. You can just like swipe your hand. And I was thinking that's kind of crazy. And there was loads of people who were really keen on this and thought this is a great idea. Let's just make ourselves biometric trackers. So then I thought, well, what if you had more? You know, that's only the start of things. What happens then? What happens after that? So I thought I'd really kind of invented something interesting with the memory tracker thing. But then I saw an article really not that long ago from about one of Elon Musk's companies, and he's actually doing this. So anyone who said this stuff's far-fetched is like, it's actually happening. I mean, doesn't mean it works, but these people are looking into it. I know Craig doesn't like this at all, and he wants to tell everyone why he doesn't like stuff that's made up. But it's happening. We're just going to have to deal with it.
Well, the best sci-fi, and as you know, I'm a big fan of sci-fi, always becomes reality. So it's not so far removed from it that, and particularly, you know, technology is moving obviously at such a pace that some things can become reality. Can you scare yourself by the use of this technology, but even as you're writing it? Because I know you like to be scared.
I do like to be scared, and I think I've actually got to the point where I can no longer do anything to do with ghosts because I get far too scared. So I thought new technology is pretty scary. When you think about AI and robots and all this stuff that's starting to really happen, does get a little bit scary, and there's a proper sci-fi films and books about what can go wrong when the machines take over. So I'm kind of just on the edge of that, and that's the Black Mirror thing, because the Black Mirror thing's almost, if you watch any of those episodes, some of it just seems so plausible. You just think that already does exist.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
there was one episode in particular about tracking children through a chip, and they had an iPad and they could put the chip in the kid, I think, and track them. And I thought, I bet you that exists.
I imagine it does already. I mean, that's the thing with Black Mirror. If you go back to the very early episodes, well, apart from the first one, which is just the pig one, which is just nothing to do with technology really, but it's the technology that's kind of used. You can see already 6 or 7 years on, you can see, well, that probably is already around. The technology exists for it if it's not being used. Probably Black Mirror has put off some companies using it in the first place because they've got a big audience going like, we definitely don't want to put chips in our kids.
Yeah. And there's another one that about people where you have an app that everything you do gets marked, and everyone can mark each other. So like if you cross the road and bump into someone, they can mark you down. So it's like Amazon star ratings, but for yourself. And it was constant. And then you have to have a certain level of those to be able to do certain jobs and live in certain places. And I thought, wow, this is crazy stuff. And it's actually happening in Japan or China. They've already got stuff like that happening, where it's really based on how you conduct yourself at all times. You're tracked. And so that stuff's terrifying to me.
But all these, I'm sorry if I jumped your question, but all these books where involving this kind of groundbreaking technology is almost a bit of a side issue, because when it works, it's what it tells us about us, not about the technology. So is that, you look to explore that in the book?
Well, exactly that, because the technology is a side point, because what happens is it drags the memories out of people, it drags their dark secrets out. And it's stuff that's so deep buried that they've almost even, it's the kind of thing where you've got deep memories that you can't even really remember yourself. So you'd have to get a therapist to help, pull them out of you. But this stuff pulls them out and then it projects them in front of everyone else. And then you have to deal with it. And so it can be a good or a bad thing to deal with those kind of deep, dark secrets. And obviously other people's reactions. And so what I tried to do was have each character have a certain kind of personality that you start to think one thing about them and then have a memory which then would tell you something completely different. So yeah, the technology is just a side.
So in Christie, these secrets would come out by conversations between the characters over dinner or fireside drink. It's a different way of bringing those to the surface.
Exactly. And then there were none, if I remember rightly. All the people there had done something to wrong the person who decided to get rid of them, and he was just bringing them, and none of them knew about it, and they didn't know how they were connected and all. So it's kind of similar in that way, and they're slightly different, and I can't really say why it's a little bit different, or there'll be some spoilers, but obviously the characters, it's not quite the same setup as in There Were None, where they're all linked in that way, but yeah.
I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's about kind of using the technology to tell a story and then not making the technology the story. And I think that's something you do in the book. I think you do it brilliantly well, because the characters do resonate, because you can see them, you can just see each one. And so, I mean, Tiggy, for example, that's literally every Instagram influencer you ever see. I mean, I love the fact that, I don't want to spoil it, but her big, the last lie she told, which is one of the things that's kind of projected at the beginning, is something that you can imagine, like, of course, that's the last lie she told, and like, it's the idea, though, of this company being able to kind of, ingratiate themselves in these characters' lives, and also it says something about the characters that they're willing to put themselves up to this as well, is to go and experience it. And it's something you do really well, is to like make that, a real kind of feeling that you're like, I can see all of these wanting to do this, because they've all got something about them that wants to do it. When you're writing the book, though, was you worried that kind of like technology can overtake you if you get to, because that's what my worry is about any technology, is that it can always overtake you while you're writing the book still. Was that ever a worry?
Well, I tried not to let it, because when I wrote the first draft, I had a basic idea of how it worked and what it did. And so then I kind of did that, and it wasn't a huge part of the story. It was just a kind of device to get the memories out. But then when I did the redrafting and the editing with my editor, their main thing was, this has to be totally believable. Even though this is a made up thing, we have to completely believe that this could exist and how it works, and it had to be consistent. So then it's like, oh, actually, this is quite hard, because I've just basically invented this thing, and then I have to work out all the nuts and bolts of how it works, exactly how it works. So that was really hard, and it was an interesting process, but I'm not actually sure I'd do it again.
How did you go about doing that? How did you go about getting as close to the technology to make it believable?
I don't know. I mean, I really did just make it up. I think I did read a lot of stuff that I didn't really refer to directly, but I just kind of tried to absorb stuff. I mean, I don't go into great details of how the probe that goes into their head actually can access the memories, because if I knew that, then I probably would invent it.
Yeah, I mean that's always the best way of doing anything with technology, though, is to just kind of go, it just works, okay. Don't ask too many questions. And it is believable enough on the page. That's not what we're invested in. We're invested in like the story of like, why are they there? What have they got to hide, and what's going to happen next? And I think that's what becomes more important. But someone in the comments has just asked, like, is owning up that they haven't read any of your books yet. So I want to recommend a recommendation of where to start. And this is what I want to talk about just next, is you kind of have cross genres quite a lot, and it's always within crime, yes, but you do bring in other elements. You were talking before about like ghosts and that kind of supernatural element to it. This is more like sci-fi elements to it. You've got more gritty dramas with the damselflies, for example, and stuff like that. Is this something that you enjoy doing? Is kind of moving across genres like this?
Yeah, I think it's because it's how I read. Because I quite like to read a lot of varied stuff, and I really like it when someone does something a little bit different. Because there's loads of great crime fiction, and of course you can just read police procedurals, you can just read psychological thrillers, and that's fine. You'll never run out of books to read. But I just kind of like doing different things. I don't know, I do make life quite hard for myself, because I could just write a series with detectives in it who do stuff, and then they come back again in the next book and they do more stuff. I could do that, but I don't really read like that. So, I mean, if I read series books, I kind of jump in between them as well. I don't always read them in order. I don't always read them all together. So I think with me, it's just about keeping myself interested as well with writing. And asking me which one to read first, I actually don't know, because I think they're all really different. They're all very me. If you read them all, they've all got my voice, but I think they are quite different. So I think it just depends what you like. And then I think if you like the style, then you can read any of them.
You can't really compare the Bankton trilogy, which are police procedurals. You can't compare that to The Lingering or to the Last Resort, or indeed to Violet. They are just different.
They are different, but I think there's still a certain kind of style of writing that's me, that you would recognise. But yeah, I agree, they're not the same. And if you're going to read the Bankton trilogy, then I would recommend starting at the beginning. With Blackwood, but I don't know, I kind of like the standalones. I really like this one. I really like the next one, which we'll talk about later. Violet was a fun one because that was based on a real trip that I did on the Trans-Siberian Express, and that was great fun to write because there's two very kind of love to hate female characters in that one. So maybe.
Well, I think Violet's quite like this in one sense, in that in this the technology is a vehicle, so was the travelling. Because although it was about the travelling across Trans-Siberian Railway, that was just a way to talk about the characters. Because the book was about the two women, it's about the characters, and that's the same here. It's a way of talking about people.
Yeah, but I think essentially all good books are that, aren't they? I mean, I think they have to be about the characters and what they're up to rather than just the plot, because the plot itself is fun and you have to think up a good story, but it's really about who's telling the story and whether you care about them. And I always say you don't have to like someone to care about them or to be invested in what they do, because I really enjoy writing the bad people. I don't know why that is. I think it's because I'm such a lovely person. This is the way of writing the dark side on the page, and I have the most fun with that. I actually find it quite difficult to write genuinely straightforward nice people. I don't know what that says about me.
The correct answer always to which one should I start with is the one that is just come out.
Well, of course, this one.
So I would say The Last Resort is the one to start with. Knuckle is the name of that person. But a lot of people are actually talking about the Deaths of December, which was your Christmas crime novel, which came out a couple of years back. And that is something that, like, every year, do you find that every year people start talking about it again? And it's like...
it's great. It's like having a Christmas single. Like, every year you can just bring it back out. It hasn't been recovered or anything yet. I'd quite like it to come back and have a reboost. I saw that with someone else's Christmas book recently, that they'd recovered it. But yeah, it's really good to have that one.
Tell us a bit about the Deaths of December for those that haven't read it.
The Deaths of December, I have got a little sampler thing, but it's over there. It is about a police station, a policewoman, called Becky Green, who receives an advent calendar at the police station where she works. And she opens it up, and it turns out behind all the doors or windows, whatever you call them, are crime scenes. So they, I think in the beginning there are 4 empty doors. Are they doors or windows? I had this discussion earlier. Windows.
Or doors.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, one of the two.
There are 4 empty ones. So then obviously this is delivered on the 4th of December or something. So they have till the 24th of December to try and find out what the link is between all the crime scenes and find the killer before the other 4 scenes get filled in.
That sounds like a perfect Christmas present for any crime fan.
It absolutely is. That one came about because the editor that I was working with at the time really wanted someone to write a Christmas crime thriller, because she was sick of all the kind of glittery books that come out at Christmas. So I wrote that. So serial killers at Christmas is not your average thing, but yeah, it works. It was good.
We talked a bit about crossover. So, and it's, as you know, I'm not crazy about supernatural sci-fi, but lots of people are, which is good for everybody else. So is there an element of risk doing that kind of crossover thing for you in a crime novel? Are you hesitant, but do it anyway?
Yeah, I mean, it's what I want to do because I think it's fun and that's what I like to read, but that doesn't mean that's what everyone wants to read. Because as I said earlier, some people just want to read what they want to read. So they want it to be exactly what you say it is. And if it's anything other than that, they're like, oh my God, what's happened? So I think I've probably had a few of those readers who picked up this and thought, oh great, it's a sort of a reboot of And Then There Were None. And then they've gone, hang on a minute, it's got sci-fi bits, no, and chucked it across the room, which is fair enough. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But what I've found from the people who do like it is even the people who were hesitant about what it might be, they've just said, you know what, I'm just going to go with it, see what happens. And as they've also said, especially now, it's complete escapism because it's very much not real. People are on an island and this is happening, and they've quite enjoyed having that rather than something very gritty and realistic when we have enough gritty, realistic stuff happening in the world right now. So it could be a good time for me to have done this, but I'm not sure I would do a lot of it. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it again. But yeah, it is a risk. It is a risk, definitely. So we'll see what happens.
But at the end of the day, it's still a crime novel. For all there's some ultra sci-fi involved, the rest of it's the same. It's about people and how they treat each other, which is usually badly, and about secrets which mess everybody up.
Exactly. Because I mean, I always say I'm really interested in dark secrets, but I mean, every crime novel is about dark secrets. I mean, it kind of has to be. So I think that's what links anything, and obviously murdering people in interesting ways. Yeah,
well, I'm all in favour of that. Absolutely. You've got a little bit of crossover as well. The Bonekeeper had a bit of crossover element.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing for me though, is that I feel like crime is that kind of genre where you can do this with and it not be an issue. I think it's just one of those all-encompassing genres that you can kind of cross over with so many different other genres and it still be quintessentially still a crime novel. So even if it takes place in space, as our friend Mr. Brookmeyer did one time, it's still a crime novel to me. That's still a crime novel, and I think that's something that I think you can tell as well when a writer is doing it, is that they are enjoying it. And it felt like that when I was reading The Last Resort, is that there was an element of enjoyment within that for the writer of like, I don't know what I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to go with it anyway. Type of element to it.
I think that's really key to it, because I get the feeling, Suze, with some of them, you don't want to be limited by doing a traditional crime novel. And if a reader's going to have fun reading it, you have to have some fun writing it.
Yeah. I think that's the same with, that has to be the same too. I mean, if you don't like writing your book, then why are you writing it?
Mm. And also a crime novel, although it's about a crime, the crime is really what the book's about. The book's about the reasons. It's not, and it's really about who done it, it's why they did it. So it's never about just the crime, nor is it about just the sci-fi or the supernatural. It's always about more than that.
Yeah.
Characterization, I think, is the most important part of any novel. I think if you believe in a character, if you were willing to go along with a character or characters, then I think you can go into any kind of realm of genre and crossover or anything like that, as long as the reader is invested in who the main protagonist is, or antagonist for that.
What crossovers have you got next? What else have you got up your sleeve that you're going to do a Western crime novel? Rom-com crime, maybe.
I'd have to watch a Western first to do a Western. I think rom-com crime is actually called domestic noir.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, it is. Well, no, my next book, which is out next summer, is called Substitute, and it is basically it's a bit of a high concept type thing, which is what if you could prevent the death of a loved one by choosing someone else to die in their place?
That'd be easy.
So, that's why it's called Substitute. So, I mean, at that, and now I started writing that book in 2014. You can only have 3 in my book.
That's going to make it tougher.
That's like the kind of moral kind of questions that I love. Have you ever watched The Good Place?
No.
Well, I mean, that's one of the best shows for moral kind of conversations like that, where what would you do type of things. And the kind of one of the most famous ones is the trolley problem. You know, would you switch if trains going down the track, you could even hit 6 people on one, but you could flick a lever and kill 1 person. And then well, then
it's going to hit on the track to hit the one. So can you then, or to hit the 6? Can you then move it to hit the one who wasn't in the way to begin with? Yeah, it's all those moral dilemmas. So you've been waiting 6 years to write The Substitute, is that right?
I started writing it after Blackwood, and then at the time I just wasn't sure that it was the right time for me to write it. I wasn't sure that I knew how to write it. So I kept kind of thinking about it, and I knew I wanted to do it, and it just always stayed on the back burner. And then last year or the year before, I can't remember now, when I started it again. I started it again from scratch, but like I still had that. I basically had that basic question in, and I had to work out how it was going to work. So then I worked it out, and then I started doing it, and it's got a bit of a science element, not so much science fiction, but actual science. And having trained as an actual scientist, I feel I'm qualified to write this book.
So is it now a case that you have the confidence to write this kind of book that you maybe didn't have 6 years ago?
Yeah, I think so, because it was definitely one at the time when I was writing. That's when I was, I'd just written my first book, which was police procedural, bit of detective, psychological type stuff. But then I wrote Willow Walk, but I was in between. I had the idea for Willow Walk, but before I wrote it, I had this idea. But it just seemed like so different from the first one. I thought, I can't do that yet, because people are expecting me to write something else quite similar. So I ended up kind of writing the trilogy, but I just always had this book. I always wanted to write it. And yeah, it's just taken me this long to kind of work out how it works. And even now, I'm doing the edits for it now, and even now I'm still having to work out details of how it works, because again, a bit like the technology one, you still got to make all the things work. So I mean, it's science, okay, it is a bit science fiction-y, okay, it is science fiction, but it's very different from this, and it's medical stuff that sort of can happen. So
and that comes out next year.
Yeah, it'll be out next summer. I don't know the exact date yet.
Well, one of the things we should maybe say about The Last Resort, even though it's launched today, and you'll have to explain this to us, it's already been number 1 twice in the UK and number 11 in the whole of the United States of America.
Yes.
Tell us that.
During election week as well.
Well, there you go. Tell us about that. That must feel pretty good.
It was very strange, because everyone was very kind of invested on other things, and then meanwhile my book was doing really well, and I was like, who's buying it? Clearly not the people who are watching anything to do with the American election. But it was on an Amazon. This is my first book with Amazon, so for a lot of books the first ones, they do this first reads thing, which if you're a Prime reader, you can download it for free. There's a choice of 6 or 8. And it's quite difficult. It's like the biggest promo you can get through Amazon. It's sort of the billboard posters of Amazon. To get your book out there, get noticed, it's very difficult to get picked. So I was really, really delighted when I got chosen. And then I had no idea what was going to happen, if it would work, because I get sent that email every month, and I'm always like, oh, which book do I want? But it went to number 1 in the UK on the day that it came out, like within hours. So clearly it got a lot of downloads of the UK, and then the reviews started coming in, and it's got like 2,700 reviews, which is just crazy. Like that's probably twice more than all of my other books put together.
How did that feel? The number 1.
The number 1 was brilliant. It was fantastic. I mean, it's not something I ever thought. I mean, my first book actually went to, I think, number 16. And I thought, that's brilliant. I was really happy with that. So for this one to go to number 1, and it stayed there for quite a few days, and then it just moved back and forward and went back in again. It's just such a weird feeling, because you see people at number 1, and you just think, how do you even get there? Like, how many books have to be downloaded to get to that point? So yeah, it's a pretty big moment. So it's just really what happens now. Now it's come out properly, and it's not in that sort of promotion anymore. See what happens now. Hopefully lots of people who are not scared of sci-fi will pick it up.
Well, someone who's never got higher than number 2, I mean, I really, my heart bleeds for your problems of now what happens next. But I'm sure it's going to do great.
Thank you.
Right. So we have 2 out of our 3 special guests. Now, do you want me to kind of wait?
Yes. But remember, we also have a lot of giveaways to do, so we might have to go through them quite quickly.
Yeah, do you want to do some giveaways? What, go through the guests or go through the giveaways?
Yeah, the guests just say hi and then they can leave. No.
Right.
Do you want to get them in, and then we can all start picking some numbers? Would that be a good way?
Let's get our first 2 in, and I'll. Do you want to introduce them, or I'm going to see if this works? I've never done this before live, where I'm admitting someone.
Not scary at all.
No, this could go extra. So the first one is going to pop up. Craig's just disappeared in disgust. First one's going to come in is a fellow bestseller. All of them are. And I think his latest book came out a couple of months ago. And let's see if he's going to appear up on screen.
He's almost here.
Yay!
Oh, I was a bit cross-eyed there. Hello. Trying to look at a few things at once. I'm here with my Lanas.
It's Mr. Mark Edwards and Lana Del Rey's.
Both of them.
How are you, Mark?
Hi.
It's a little bit creepy, those 2 Lanas. I thought you were going to put some different clothes on them, maybe.
They did have different clothes on, but I keep taking them off.
I'm sure I'm not alone in finding that slightly disturbing.
Happy publication day.
Oh, thank you.
Have you got a drink?
I have. Cheers.
Chink. Clink.
Actually, before we ask Mark to tell us about his latest book, it strikes me that the last couple of events we've done, Luca, everybody's talked about the latest book except you, because you've been hosting. So I think you should go first.
Well, hang on. Let me get all the other people in first.
Oh, he's backing away from it now.
Yeah. Look, it's only Steph Broadrib.
Hiya.
Hey, Steph.
And look at that, it's Lisa Gray.
Hello. How are you all?
Good.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good to have you here. We're going to ask everybody just to give a quick talk about their couple of sentences in the latest book, but we were going to force Luca to go first.
Yeah.
You can see how happy he is about it.
That one.
There we go.
That's it, that'll do.
Come on. It's really good.
There's the blame. No, it's Susie's launch. I'm not going to get involved.
It is, but I feel that just so everybody knows who we're talking to and why they're here.
It's fine. It's called The Game. It's about a game. People die. Move on. Mark, what's your latest book?
It is that one. Oh, is it mirrored to you?
No,
as
it's
well?
not. It's
No,
fine.
No, that's
Oh,
good.
okay.
No, that's
It's
right.
it's the House Guest that came out last summer just gone, and it's about a couple house sitting in New York, and a stranger turns up on the doorstep, and weird stuff happens. Why do I look weirdly cross-eyed? I don't know what's going on with my my camera. It's strange. Anyway, that's what it's about. And like you, I don't want to kind of crash Susie's party, so I won't talk about it too much. But I was going to say, Susie, congratulations on your first #1 bestseller.
Thank you.
Very exciting.
I lost it there. I was about to.
Yes.
There it is.
Yeah, hold that. You haven't held it up for 30 seconds. Put it
I
up again.
know.
Okay, let's go to Steph next. Steph, what's your latest book?
I'm slightly distracted because my dog has just taken a cushion off the sofa and is trying to rip it up. So if I suddenly shriek and disappear, I'm going after my dog. My latest book, Deep Dark Night, set in where is it set? In Chicago, in a blackout, in a penthouse, in the middle of a high stakes poker game.
Ooh.
There's running and screaming and that sort of stuff, you know.
We really need to take kind of classes on how to sell books.
Yeah.
Like really,
I didn't expect to talk about my book.
And
Is it part of your series?
Yeah, sorry, it's the 4th book in the Laurie Anderson series. Thank you for the
Well done, Mark. Well done.
Mark's taking that class.
Yeah. Mark can pitch the book. That would be great.
And finally, we've got Lisa Gray. Welcome, Lisa. What's your latest book?
It's Dark Highway, and it's about the investigation into one woman who's missing that quickly becomes an investigation into 3 missing women who are all connected by the same dark highway, which is the 29 Palms Highway in California.
Is it the M25? The M25, is it?
Yeah.
Is it part of a series?
It is, yes. Same stuff. It's book 3 in the Jessica Shaw series. So thank you, Mark.
No, that's all right.
Mark, are you going to explain the twins behind you, or are you just going to leave me like? Because at the moment it just looks like The Shining all grown up.
I know. Well, it was my birthday recently. I've decided I'm not going to tell people how old I am anymore. But
We can tell them if you want.
I got to. Well, nobody believes it. They all think I'm at least 10 years younger. So my wife bought me one of these, believe it or not, as did my mum and sister. And I almost got 3 apparently. So I could have had Lana triplets. But they sit in my office behind me and spur me on.
I mean, it's a strange present to get a grown up. I do feel like that.
Well, I've got some Lego here as well, can you see? So that's even more weird for a grown up.
To be fair, I've got quite a lot of Lego as well.
We've been talking about crossover in crime novels. You might have heard at the end of the conversation because The Last Resort. So do the thing.
Oh.
The Last Resort has some crossover elements. How do you 3 feel about crossover in books? Have you used it, and how do you feel about reading it?
Who's going to go first?
You've just volunteered yourself.
Well, I have horror elements in my books. I wouldn't really say they're crossover because there's nothing supernatural going on, but I do use a lot of horror tropes and themes and so on. But I do like reading them because I read so many psychological thrillers and crime novels. It's always nice to find something different. So if you can create a mashup of 2 genres or do something original, then that's got to be a good thing. And I mean, I've read The Last Resort and really enjoyed it. So yeah, I liked the sci-fi, the Black Mirror meets Agatha Christie elements. It was good, very good.
Steph, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I love thrillers. So like Michael Crichton, Blake Crouch, all these sort of things. So yeah, so I love reading them. I think Michael Crichton was like my first love. That sounds really random. I've never met Michael Crichton, but yeah, you know, his books were absolutely fantastic and often blended that kind of sort of techno or sciencey or sci-fi element with the kind of real world. And so I absolutely love The Last Resort. You know, really fabulous book. I've not written anything like that myself that's been published, I hasten to add. I've dabbled in it, but no, I love it as a genre, and I think Susi's just done an amazing job with The Last Resort. Really fabulous.
Thank you. I didn't even pay any of these people to come.
Not yet. Lisa, what about you? What do you think?
Well, so far I've pretty much just stuck to sort of private eye fiction, murder mystery stuff, and I don't actually usually read a lot of sci-fi techno thrillers, but maybe I will now after reading The Last Resort, because again, I mean, it was just fantastic the way it was done, and that whole sort of Black Mirror thing, which I'm actually quite scared of, the TV show Black Mirror. I only ever watched the episode with the pig and the Prime Minister, and then I was like, oh no, this is halfway disturbing. Susie's book's a wee bit disturbing as well. I did actually have a nightmare the night that I finished reading it. I won't give any spoilers away in terms of what scene it was, but brilliant job, Susie, and congrats again on your number one.
Right, we've got, did you say 50 giveaways to do, Susie?
Yeah, 50 giveaways.
Right.
And we don't have enough time. Should we just give away 5?
Can you show the picture?
So this is all the stuff that's getting given away. I mean, this is a lot of stuff. And now you have a big prize to give away at the end.
I do have one final prize, but these are all going to be kind of random potluck prizes up for 50 people. So we just have to pick numbers between 1 and 150 and just go through them all. And then all those people need to please send me a message with their address, and we will try and send them out as soon as possible.
The ones down the front are those tiny copies of The Last Resort for very small people.
Little people, Craig.
Craig gets cancelled.
They're chocolates.
They're chocolate. Cool.
Anyone who's been to any of my book launches before in real life will know that I always have chocolates with my book covers on, so I couldn't not have them.
I do love the pens. I'm going to steal that idea.
The pens say "I love Susie Holliday."
I'm going to get some "I love Mark Edwards" pens just for myself.
And I've also got, as well as lots of books and audio books, I've got these really cool notebooks.
Oh, nice. Can we have some chocolates as well, Susie?
I'll consider that.
Depends on how well we behave, maybe.
Yes, it does.
Send us chocolates, Susie.
There's all kinds of stuff there. So we just have to pick a number between 1 and 150, and you're going to go through each of us, and we're going to do this quite quickly, aren't we?
We're just going to go through it a bit like bingo, and then we'll shout out who's won.
Okay.
I'm going to go first.
Go.
I'll go for 22.
22.
2 little ducks. Quack, quack.
Kerry Foyle.
There you go. Go on, Craig.
66.
Oh, wait, that's on the next page.
Sorry.
Michael Casson.
Mark.
Number 1.
Number 1, Debbie Atkinson.
Kelly's eye.
There.
69.
You would pick that, Steph.
Somebody had to.
My money was on Steph.
69 is Pauline Vender Byron.
Oh,
Lisa.
15.
Okay.
15 is Mary Beth, or it could be Vary Beth because it's spelt in the Scottish way, Macmillan.
Okay, right now I'm going to go. The first person in the comments to give me a number between 1 and 150, that's going to be the next number. But first I'm going to choose 98.
98 is Dawn Reed.
Craig.
147.
147 is Ellen Devonport.
Mark.
70.
House. Sorry.
70 is Christopher Zagorski.
Oh,
Okay, first comment was from Tamia, and she picked 121.
121 is Georgina Middleton.
Steph.
13.
Oh,
13 is Sarah Cooper.
Lisa.
5.
5 is Steve Street.
Okay, I'm going to go with Mary Nickel, who picked... No, she picked one that I picked at the beginning. Alison Inglis picked 26.
That's my mum.
That's your mum. Your mum picked 26.
Hi,
you'll
Susie's
never
mum.
believe you'll never believe who she's picked. Number 26 is Jan Murray. That's my mum's friend.
that's a fix. Come on. I know what your mum's like.
Oh, this is going to result in us being shut down, Craig.
It's the risk we take.
Alison Valentine picks 31.
31 is David Hicks.
Well done, David.
I'll pick 142.
142 is Joe Edwards.
Who are we up to? How many are we up to? Do we know?
I don't know.
Did you not count as we were going through? Might have been an idea.
Hang on, I better count them.
Okay, well, talk. You do some counting and we'll do some talking.
Someone made a good comment before.
14.
14. We've got 36 to go.
You're kidding me. Right, we need some numbers.
Paula DeVoe picks 99.
Hello, Paula. Kendall Stephen Perot.
Ah, good. I'm glad about that. 150.
That's one of my friends from school that I've known since I was 5.
150.
150 is Catherine Baxendale.
Okay, Mark, give us a number.
3.
3 is Carol Hilliard.
Mark, do you only know up to 10?
No, I think that the people who entered first should have a good shot of winning.
It's been randomised.
Low numbers.
It's been randomised.
Oh.
I'm a statistician, for God's sake.
I assume this is the order that they entered in.
No.
43.
43 is Lynn Poole.
Someone shout.
Agent Phil Paxton shouts, "That's number wang." Steph, give us a number.
111.
111. I'm getting really hot doing this. Nick Parker.
Whatever turns you on.
That's also.
That's 20.
Lisa.
78.
Okay, I'm just going to rattle through a few on this now.
78 is Penny Carter Francis.
Okay, Tamir says 121. Oh, that was the first one we did. Sorry. Abby Fleetham says 37.
That's my sister. Hello.
Hello, Abby.
37 Beverly Barrett.
Okay. Lynn Milford says 88.
Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Linda Rumsey.
2 fat ladies. That's probably changed to something else now.
You've been
Sharon
counted twice
Baden.
tonight, Craig.
I know. I'm just pushing my luck.
Sharon Baden says 66.
Clickety click. We've already had 66.
We've already had 66, Sharon.
How about Sheldon Cooper's favourite number? 73.
73 is Ram Babu. That's a good name.
Go on, Mark. See if you can think of a number higher than 10.
11.
I knew he was going to say 11.
11 is Signals.
11.
Makes 11.
17.
17 Leslie Burnside.
Burnside.
Go on, Steph.
51.
51 is Linda Hill.
Lisa.
90.
90. Sheila Heron.
When Susie roped me into this, she said I'd have to pick one number.
Well, you'd only learned one. Is that
That's
the problem?
I thought that by the time you came in, we might have already done some, but we were just chatting and we didn't get to it.
67.
We can have a break in a minute and chat again if you like.
Or I can do the quiz if you want.
Let's do the quiz in a minute. Yeah, well, maybe you can give some of these for quiz prizes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Okay. Sally Curtin was 67.
Okay, last one then. Best-selling crime author C.L. Taylor, also known as Callie Taylor, says 91.
91 is Michelle Forster. Hi, Callie.
Right, so Craig, do the quiz. And
All right, I'm going to do the quiz. Basically, it's 10 questions. Well, have you guys all got a pen and paper or to hand? Steph, go get a piece of pen and paper. Can you?
What?
Mark had literally prepared one number and that was
I
it.
I know. I've got my dinner cooking downstairs. I'm going to have to go in a minute.
Right, quick quiz.
Okay, I'll do the quiz and then I'm going to have to shoot off.
Okay.
Okay, I've got paper and a...
Steph, you're well on. Right, everybody at home, do it as well. Do your own scores. They're all questions about islands. 8 of them are books, 2 of them are music. They're all relatively straightforward, but some are more straightforward than others.
Islands or Ireland?
Islands, as in The Last Resort is set on an island. In which novel do Julian, Anne, and Philip first have adventures on a Dorset island owned by their Aunt Fanny? Now, Anne, Philip, and Julian are accompanied by, of course, George and Timmy. And which book did they first have adventures on an island in Dorset? It's the first one, not the follow-up. Same to everybody at home. You've all got that. It's fairly straightforward. Number 2, in which Dennis Lehane novel does a US deputy marshal investigate when a patient goes missing from a psychiatric facility? Dennis Lehane novel, made into a movie. I'm sure you all know it already. Steph's looking slightly confused. Everybody else has got it. Sorry, Steph, I'll come to you. Number 3, which island set mystery is the world's best-selling crime novel with over 100 million copies sold? It's actually the 6th best-selling book of all time, astonishingly. Okay. Question number 4, which award-winning Peter May novel is set on an island 850 miles from the Canadian mainland? Now that's got a couple more puzzled looks.
I can't remember what it is, but I've reviewed it.
I can see the cover.
That's fine. Just you put that down, give yourself a point. It's fine.
Can I look up my blog to find
Yes, feel free. It may have the word island in the title if that helps anybody. But question number 5, in which book by H.G. Wells, maybe slightly more difficult for some, which book by H.G. Wells does a mad scientist create hybrid beings from animals via vivisection? Slight tie into The Last Resort. Book by H.G. Wells. And all the questions are about islands.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. It's all for fun. Question 6, Luca. In which novel are a group of boys stranded on an uninhabited island and are forced to find ways of governing themselves?
Have they asked that question before?
Number 7. Which novel features the travels of a sailor who is first shipwrecked on an island, then journeys to the peninsula of Brobdingnag, the island of Laputa, and the land of the Homonyms? I will repeat that for you. Which novel features the travels of a sailor who is first shipwrecked on an island, then journeys to the peninsula of Brobdingnag, the island of Laputa, and the land of the Homonyms?
It's Popeye the sailor.
Oh, want them. Number 8, Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park is set on the fictional island of Isla Nublar, which is off the coast of which Central American country? And I think it was filmed there as well. Don't quote me on that. Jurassic Park, Isla Nublar is off the coast of which Central American country? There aren't that many of them. Just guess one if you don't know. Which song, written by the Bee Gees and taking its title from an Ernest Hemingway novel, was a #1 in the US in 1983, and a cover version was #1 in the UK in 2009?
Who did the cover version?
The cover version was a comic relief single.
The people from whatchamacallit, wasn't it?
It was the people from whatchamacallit, and Tom Jones was on it as well. It's the original, which is best known, is by a duo. And it's about islands. Come on, I'm virtually telling you the answer.
It's a good karaoke track, Steph.
It's a great karaoke track, it is. Number 10, well, you can name either of 2 islands. There may be more than 2, but I can only think of 2. The title of a song which went to #1, which is the name of an island.
What?
I've got 2, you can have either of them. Right, #1 UK single, the title of which is a real island. I think there's 2, you can have it for either of them. Come on, I'm the one who knows nothing about music. Why are you guys have all got blank looks? All right, well, one of them was a hit in about 1974, and the other one in about 1982. God, still nothing?
One which I don't think is either of those.
I can give you more clues if you want.
Yeah.
#1, it was a one-hit wonder. I'm still getting blank. Everybody at home is screaming. They know this. #1 was by a band called Typically Tropical. I'm giving you no more.
What I love about this is that no one's answering in the comments, so I can't even cheat.
I'm just gonna guess.
Right, guess away.
It's really hard.
Oh, they're dead easy. Do you want the answers now, or
Do you want to shout
will we
out?
go to a commercial break? And then
So am I going to shout the answers out? So
Yeah,
you
let us have a go at shouting out the
I
answer.
will go round you. Just mark them for yourselves. So we're going to have 2 winners. We're going to have a winner here, whoever gets highest, and we're going to have a winner from the people at home. We're going to trust them. Paul Getcham, don't just text in 10, okay? I know you're dying to do that right now. Right, here we go. Only kidding, Paul. The novels featuring Julian, Anne, Philip, George, and Timmy is, of course, the famous 5, and it's 5 on a treasure island.
Oh,
Do we
Oh,
get
sorry. I was going to ask you.
Because I had famous 5 do something. So I got the right.
That's
at the
really
beginning.
close. What have you got?
5 on an island.
That is so close, mate. That's so close now.
I've got
Okay.
five go to an island.
Oh,
I've just get famous 5. Do I get half a point?
That's
No.
what I heard. I thought maybe it
all
was
right. Look at number 2 is which Dennis Lehane novel is set when a patient goes missing from a psychiatric facility?
That's
Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
Oh, I got it right.
Yay!
Right. So Shutter Island is number 2. Steph, which island set mystery is the world's best-selling crime novel?
I'm going to say and then they were none.
Is the correct answer.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Susie, which award-winning Peter May novel is set 850 miles from the Canadian coast?
Really bad island.
It's not Fairly Bad Island, no. Did any of the other 4 know?
Is
Is
it
it
just
Entry Island?
Black Island or something like that?
Something Island.
Lisa is correct. It's Entry Island.
Entry
Entry
Island.
Island.
Never heard of
Mark, which book by H.G. Wells features a mad scientist creating hybrid beings?
The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Thank
Very
fuck for
good. It is the island of Dr. Moreau.
that. I put Dr. Doolittle and then scrubbed it out, just so you know.
Lisa,
I
which
think
novel
it sounds young.
features a group of boys stranded on an uninhabited island?
Is it Lord of the Flies?
It is Lord of the Flies. Thank you to Luca for ruining that earlier.
No problem.
And for that, look at which novel features a travels by a sailor who goes to Brobdingnag, Laputa, and the land of the Houyhnhnms?
I only guessed this. Treasure Island.
Is not right.
Gulliver's Travels.
Gulliver's Travels is correct by Mr. Mark Edwards and everybody at home. Steph, Jurassic Park. Island Nubar is off the coast of which country?
Do you know, I'm really crap at geography. I'm going to say Costa Rica, but I'm not sure.
Costa Rica is correct.
Oh.
A point for everybody that said Costa Rica. Susie, which song written by the Bee Gees, taken from an Ernest Hemingway novel, was the number one in the UK?
Islands in the Stream.
Oh, can we all do it? Do y'all want to? Go on, let's do it. On 3, 1, 2.
Islands in the stream. That is what we are. I think we're all out of time.
Mark Edwards is the karaoke king. Mark, can you name either of the 2 islands which went to number 1 in the UK
Is
chart?
it? We're going to Barbados.
Barbados is correct. You can have a point for that.
Oh, what if you did the same song, but when they did it in
Ibiza, didn't they? Ibiza, somebody.
Yeah, it didn't go to number 1.
Oh.
You know what? If it did go to number 1, take a point. I will Google it when I get a break. Then you know the other one,
Is it
Madonna song.
Yeah, is it La Isla Bonita?
Isla Bonita.
It is La Isla Bonita. They both went.
The real island.
That's a real island, of course. Well, it's probably a real island. Yes, it is. So look at how many did you get? 5, Steph.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 7, but and did I get half a point for the famous 5? Because I didn't get.
No.
7 then.
I got
7's very good. 7 also for Mark. Lisa.
4.
Lunch girl.
Oh,
6.
that dog.
6. Oh, but now we've got a tie between Steph and Mark. Okay. On the buzzer, which is the biggest island in the world?
England.
Australia.
Mark, you're the winner.
Australia.
It's the dumbest answer I've ever heard in my life. So you win. Greenland is the answer. Madagascar being second, but that's fine.
Was it Greenland?
It is Greenland, yes.
Greenland, yeah.
Look at, do we have a winner from the people at home?
Mary Nicholas said she got 8, and that's the highest so far. So,
Well, in that case, I think she gets goodies.
Right. Mary Nicol.
is she on there already, Susie? And you can just
It
mark
might
in.
be. I'll have to have a look.
If not, then Mary, you'll need to find a way. Don't put it in the comments for God's sake, but to get your address to us. Thank you all for playing at home.
Yes, right. So, Mark, you're going to leave us now.
Yes, sadly, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I didn't get to ask you my specially prepared question,
Oh, go.
Well, that's
How
where
do
you
you-
got on.
which is, how do you spell racket? Is it with a CK or a CQ? I started a debate on Twitter this week and no one can agree.
Like a drug.
Tennis racket in British English.
I've got a queue.
Right with a Q.
Well, apparently it's actually a CK.
Piss off. I don't
No
believe
way.
Apparently.
Oh, it's a Q.
There's
It's
who?
a CK.
Who's what?
The Guardian spells it with a CK, but the BBC spell it with a CQ. So basically, either is right. But I got it in my book, and I know I'm going to get 1-star reviews, whatever way I spell it. Anyway, that was my highly intelligent question.
For those watching at home, please find another reason to give Mark a 1-star review rather than this. No, hang on, that's not what I should have said.
Right, thanks for
There are
being with
many.
Mark.
There are many. Well, happy publication day, Susie.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
I have no
Mark.
idea how to leave us. Oh, yeah, you click the leave button.
Well, Mark, just in the passing. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Right, so how many have you got left, Susie?
19.
19. Okay,
Well, let's
so
have 19 then.
let's have 19, yeah.
Oh, 19, yeah. 19 is Janet Dobbin.
Janet Dobbin. Lisa, give us 2 numbers this time.
Oh,
Oh,
mistakes.
pressure. 4 and 64.
4 is Sharon Machin or Machin. 64 is Katie Elizabeth.
Craig, give us 15 numbers. No, I'm joking. 15.
15.
15.
Yeah.
15's already been.
Oh, never mind.
All right.
16.
Yep.
16 is Darren Boyle.
Steph.
77 Sunset Strip.
77 is gone.
33.
33 is Maggie Rowett.
91.
91 is gone.
108.
108. Vanessa Rivington.
123.
123. Angie Obertelli. Another school friend of mine.
100.
100. Tammy Forey.
Okay, how many have we got left?
5, 4, 9, 10.
87.
87 is Hannah Evans. Hannah, finally, you've come to every single one of my launches and finally you've won.
She actually asked in the comments, Hannah, what number was his?
143 and 144.
Hang on. I haven't scored Hannah off. She might win again. What number was that? 87. What was the next one?
143 and 144.
Lauren McMenemy and Andrea Cook.
Lisa, what's your favourite number?
Already picked that first. That was 15.
Can I pick some?
Yes, go. You pick the last one.
What do you think is your launch or something?
45. Pam Scott.
You know what? You know what the numbers are. I'm not sure you should be picking this.
Yeah, but I don't know where they are. They're just randomly in here.
In the interest of transparency.
I don't know Pam Scott. Oh no, maybe I do.
I'd just like to point out that in the comments, Hannah is very excited, and there's a lot of people congratulating her. I think it was a big thing.
Tell Hannah to pick a number.
Hannah, pick a number. It's on a delay, so by the time we get there, how many have we got left? Like
8. No, 7.
52.
52 is Jacqueline Sharp.
62.
62 is Lynn Elsissy. Sorry.
136.
Ooh. Selena Trafford.
125.
Adrienne Cooper.
2.
2, Sandra Anderton.
Okay, how many is left now?
2.
2. Okay, someone in the comments has picked 99. Hannah has picked 99. That's
99's already gone.
59.
59 is Pete Savage.
Okay, and you pick the last one, Susie.
Right, I'll pick 37.
In a row.
No, 37's gone. See, that's how it's not jinxed. 150.
I picked that already.
Oh, damn it. 136.
110.
100. I can't pick one. 133. Right, Maria Pujol. That's it.
That's
Okay.
it. Right. Okay. Now they all get in contact with you.
I'm gonna. Most of those people are in the comments on the Facebook page that thingy. So I will answer every one of their comments and ask them to send me a message just in case anyone wasn't watching.
I mean, that's a lot of admin.
I know. I realised that. But it's Christmas.
Now there is a big, massive prize that you're giving away. The big prize. You want to tell people what's in this big prize?
No, it's a surprise.
It's a surprise. Are you going to tell them after they've won or not? Or they're just going to end up with it one day?
No, so the final prize is coming from someone in the comments, correct?
Yes.
So it is a name in my next book and an Amazon voucher of an amount that I will not disclose.
£5.
Is that the minimum?
Yeah. Right. So I'm going to pick this. I'm going to pick this in the comments, right? And because we're on a delay, I'm going to say it now, and then we'll have to talk for a second.
Can I just say as well, sorry, if you win this, you can either have your own name, or if you don't, you can pick someone's name, but don't pick someone's name that you want me to kill, because I could get in trouble for that.
Right, so all you have to do is to put in the comments, put the last resort, and I'm going to pick one at total random. So I'm going to see it flooded on my right-hand side of my screen of just the last resort, and then I'll pick one.
You need to close your eyes and then do your best to hit the screen.
That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. In fact, I might just assign them all as a number as we go along. But before we get to that, let's talk about something else. Sorry, I got distracted by the comments, just loads of stuff. So Steph is here. So Steph, why don't you tell us what you're working on at the moment?
Okay. So I'm working on the first book in a new series, which is for Thomas and Mercer, and it doesn't have a title at the moment, but it's about a group of 4 retired detectives in Florida who one of them comes across a crime scene very early in the morning unexpectedly, and it launches them out of retirement and into doing some active problem solving. So it's a little bit Death in Paradise meets Midsummer Murders, I would say. It's not cozy, but it's not kind of hardcore either.
So this is actually interesting, this, because Lisa's with Thomas and Mercer as well. I mean, you're all the same publisher. I mean, you've all also, I think apart from Lisa, you haven't worked with another publisher, have you, Lisa?
No.
So I mean, what can you see the difference in having different publishers? Let's ask that question. Not Lisa, obviously, because she hasn't. But Steph.
Well, there's lots of differences, and I think it depends what you're looking for at the time and what you're writing. There's not kind of a one size fits all with publishers, I don't think. So I've had some books with small publishers, and they've done well, and they've been really great people to work with. But this, for me, the move to Thomas and Mercer was kind of because I wanted to do a bit sort of bigger thriller type stuff, and it kind of fitted in with their model and what they do. So that was my move. And it's been quite different working with Thomas and Mercer because they're Amazon, so they have a great system where everything's kind of laid out and quite methodical, which I really like because I've also got another job. So it makes it easier for me to slot things around, and knowing when things are due and when I'm meant to do stuff helps. Because otherwise I will leave stuff to the last minute. Oh, well, maybe I just do that anyway. But it does help to have actual fixed plans. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
And Lisa, how did you find the experience being a debut author with Amazon?
Well, I mean, from my point of view, it was really good because with it being Amazon, they have like really good promotions and things. It was kind of what was touched on earlier in terms of Susi's book coming out a month before it officially came out. So my debut novel had the same sort of promotion thing as that. But I mean, in terms of comparing it to a traditional publisher, I did actually work with another publisher because I wrote a book about Rangers, Craig's favourite football team. So but that was obviously quite different because that was a non-fiction sport book. So it was really quite different. So I mean, it is quite difficult because there's not really much to compare the experience to, other than, I mean, I've been delighted with the way it's all gone so far.
It's the publishing business, as we all know, it's changing hugely and really quickly. And you three are, at the moment, on the side of the business which is probably moving quickest. So do you feel happy being there and sort of inside the shop, so to speak?
I think it is a good place to be at the moment because there's a lot of uncertainty around shops and physical sales. And although we predominantly sell ebooks, we also do sell audiobooks and paperbacks. And yeah, we are in the shop. So it does kind of give you that bit of, because one of the biggest things I found with other publishers was you always had this worry around publication time about which shops your book's going to be in and how many books are going to be in shops. And it's just extra stress because a lot of readers might not realize this, but it's very difficult to become a bestseller if your books are not in enough places where people can buy them. And that's not a limitation of the book not being good enough. It's a limitation of there being so many books and so many publishers and them all fighting for space, and the bigger ones obviously have more clout and more ability to get things in places. So it's quite nice to not have to think about that for a little while. Although I'm not saying I wouldn't go back to it another time, but for now I'm really enjoying it. I just write the books and they come out and I don't have to worry about the rest.
Well, similar to you, Steph, is that are you happy that all you have to do is write your book and it doesn't matter, it doesn't change the book from your point of view, but then Thomas and Mercer and Amazon do a lot of the heavy lifting for you? Does that make life easier in that sense?
Yeah, I think so. And it's like what Susie was saying earlier about I've got another job as well, and it makes it very difficult to do kind of, you know, promotional things and tours and all this sort of stuff when you're trying to juggle it with another job. So I think being able to kind of really concentrate on writing the books and making them the best they can be, and then having, as you say, having sort of Thomas and Mercer and Amazon do the heavy lifting is really, really helpful. And, you know, like Susie said, I've had good experiences with small publishers and bigger publishers in the traditional sense, but I think, you know, for this series, I think Thomas and Mercer are the, you know, absolutely the right choice, and it's been a really good experience so far.
So Lisa, your debut went to #1 in the UK and #1 in the US, and with a traditional publisher that would have been nigh on impossible. So that must have felt pretty good. Yeah,
it just wouldn't have happened. And I mean, off the back of that, the books are set in America, and in terms of sales, probably about 90% of the sales are in America, which again, I just don't think would have happened with a more traditional publisher. But I mean, at the end of the day, if people want to read on Kindle or a paperback or Audible, I don't really care as long as they're reading the book or listening to the book on Audible.
Well, it has that advantage of crossing borders. You know, there's no geography. When everybody was in lockdown, you had the advantages of it being bought and sold everywhere.
Yeah.
Lisa. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, this year in particular, I mean, obviously, this is why we're doing the virtual launches. There's no physical launches. 1 minute the bookstores are open, the next minute they're shut again. So it kind of takes that uncertainty away when you know that the vast majority of the sales are going to be book sales anyway. And so nothing's really changed too much in terms of the pandemic, I think, compared to where I was last year. So
there's a question in the comments about how everyone linked up with Thomas and Mercer. Do you approach them or do they come to you? But I think it's important to note that everyone has got an agent here, and they act just like any other publisher. Your agent has taken your book to those publishers, and Thomas and Mercer are the ones who picked it up. And that's how they are similar to every other publisher. It's just that they so happen to just publish on Amazon. That's all it is. There's no real difference there. Right, so I've got 22 names.
Oh.
And I've written them down. That's what I was doing while you were all talking, very interestingly. So pick a number, Susie, between 1 and 22.
9.
Carlo 72. God, I hope that's a real person.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Quite tricky. Oh no, it could just be like a call name or something. I'm sure I could find it in.
Carlo 72. That's what it is. Carlo 72.
Oh, I know who that is.
Oh, we can't have that. It's my next door neighbour.
Reveal yourself. Reveal yourself in the comments, Carlo 72.
It's not Jamie, is it?
No. We'll wait.
Well, while Carlo 72 is doing that, would you swap your #1s for a chance to go to a proper book festival with each other and have a drink and talk face to face?
Yes, 100%. This year,
I would swap your #1 for that.
I mean, well, we've missed out on so much this year. It's like this, you could just write off this year even existing, apart from having books out. But I mean, I've seen Steph once, I think, this year. Bye.
Yeah. In the garden outside, we sat in a socially distanced fashion, except Red wasn't socially distanced, was he? He was sleeping all over you. The dog, I hasten to add, Red is a dog.
It's a dog. Yeah, and I haven't seen Lisa at all. this year.
I haven't seen any of you face to face. I've seen all of you online, but
no, it's just really rubbish. And I hope that next year we can stuff can happen again, because otherwise we'll all be just so used to staring at screens we won't actually be able to.
I don't know how much people watching realise how much we meet up across the year at various places, from Harrogate to Stirling to Butte and everywhere else in between.
Yeah,
and it's great because we can talk and bitch about whatever we want, and it's great. And it just, because so much what we do we're on our own, and to meet up is just a lifesaver, and it will come back.
Yeah,
it'll be back soon, don't worry. Carlo is refusing to reveal themselves in the chat. I don't know who it is. 72 would I would assume then that's someone who was born in 1972. Do you reckon?
Yeah,
could be.
Who do we know who is 48 years old?
I'm gonna have to look this up now.
I know who it is. I found out. They finally came out. It's Karen Cole. Who's
Yes.
the Hair Past the Freckle book reviews.
There you go.
Evelyn Smithy says, looking forward to welcoming you all back to Butte Noir. Rona Will says, Bloody Scotland 2021. I mean, fingers crossed.
Karen Cole will be glad to see me again, because I always get her to hold my drink when I'm at a food festival.
And now you're paying her back in Amazon vouchers. Finally. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see which festival is the first one back, or what is the first book launch going to be. That's the other one is like, we'll all of a sudden have a great interest in going to each other's book launches.
Yeah.
Never miss one again. In fact, I missed your very last one, didn't I?
Did, yeah.
Which
you
was
were tired because had you just flown back from? Yeah.
I'd just come back from New Zealand, and it was the next day. But you had just come back from America as well, I think.
Yeah, I just come back from Florida.
Yeah, but I made that really bad decision of, I'm just too tired. It was fine. I go to book launches all the time.
I don't see Steph. I know what she's going to say. It's so boring.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Never mind.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's wrap this up now. This has been brilliant. Hour and a half to spend talking about Susi's book. The Last Resort is available now on Amazon to buy. Told at the book. Excellent. It's a gorgeous cover. It's a gorgeous.
It is a good cover.
It's a fantastic thriller. Agatha Christie meets Black Mirror. What else could you wish for? Big thanks to Mark, who popped in earlier, and
gone for his dinner.
Who's gone for his dinner? Who eats at this time? Do you know who eats at this time? Posh people.
Spanish people.
Yeah, and Spanish people. Posh. And okay, Mark is either posh or Spanish. That's a question we'll ask him next time he's on.
I think he's Spanish.
Massive thanks to Steph Broadrib, whose book you can go and find anywhere, and Lisa Gray, whose book is on Amazon as well. Best of luck with the next book and all the other books, and hopefully we'll see each other very soon in the flesh, where we can stop. I've got Zoom eyes. That's what I've got now. Thank you, everyone who's coming out and watched the launch on YouTube. Thousands of comments on there. Yeah, they're all still going. They're all just saying well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Karen Cole says, I do realise this sounds really dodgy. And Chris Sagar says, Steph's last book launch was my last night out. So Steph, maybe be the first one to come out of it.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, Craig.